Hi everybody, welcome back. Again, Tony with Shinsho Yoga, and today I'm going to continue the series on mat discussions here with how to store, carry, and care for your mat. Yoga mats can be expensive. The prior video that I did here talking about how to purchase a mat, in the end it's going to come down to what you can afford, Mats can range from $5 to $150. And depending on what your needs are, the $150 mat may work, the $5 mat may work. But either which way, you have to take care of your equipment. If you're taking the practice seriously, if you're making this a part of your lifestyle because of what yoga has to offer, which I would highly recommend, you need to take care of your equipment. Sustainability wise too, look, these mats generally are made out of, rubbers and neoprenes and plastics and things like that, and you just can't throw it out because it just ends up in a landfill. There's recycling programs and things like that, but take care of the mat, and if you take care of the mat, it'll last you a good amount of time. So I'm going to talk about, just initially here, just some different ways to store, where to keep them, and how to keep them clean, and how to carry them. So have a couple different styles of carriers here with a couple different styles of mats. And I'm just going to start with kind of the basic bag that you see to put your yoga mat in. So this is, you can get these at a lot of different places. This one is a very ornate bag. I got this in Africa, believe it or not, on one of the charity trips I was on. And honestly, it doesn't fit any mat except this one mat, which was my first one, this Gaia mat, which I don't recommend. And I'll talk about that in another video. But just an opening at the top, and it's got a drawstring, and it's got a shoulder, so you can carry it back and forth. You want to keep your mat covered. You want to keep it in a bag. You don't want to keep it in straps like this. This was my mat for when I was in teacher training and when I was really getting deep into yoga. This is a Jade Harmony mat, and I kept, I wanted the most simplest things, so I used this. The problem with this versus this, and it'd probably be very hard to see here in the video, but there is discoloration here to here. You might be able to see the line. I don't know if it'll show up on the camera. The mat is not protected and is exposed to the environment. Most people keep their mat in their car. I keep my mat in my car. Sunlight breaks down the mat. I kept this in the back of my car. I have a little hatchback, and even though the back window is tinted, it's still got hit with the UV rays, and from here all the way around here just destroyed this mat. It is all cratered and pockmarked here. It looks like a sponge. It's got no traction left here. It just slides. It's pretty useless now. And this is not an inexpensive mat. It's about $80 mat. Very good mat, right? Jade Harmony, good mat. But because I didn't keep it in the bag, and the reason I didn't keep it in this bag is because it didn't actually fit in this bag. It stuck out the top. So I wanted to be able to use, well, actually, maybe it didn't. Take that back. It didn't fit in that bag because I never checked. Because I was using a thicker bag. But this style of strap is convenient to carry, right? You don't have a lot to have with you, and you just, when you take your mat out and you go into the studio and you undo your straps, you can just take this, and if you're just bringing your shoes and your keys in, stick it in your shoe. You don't have a lot there to worry about. But it doesn't protect the mat. You need to protect your mat from the sun, from UV light. So you need something that covers it like a bag. The bag I would recommend is one like this, right? This has got a zip up the sides. It's a good size. It's got an adjustable strap. It's got vent holes in it, right? It's a kind of a canvas material, durable with a liner. what this type of bag does versus this type of bag. This is a very ornate bag. It's a pretty bag. I like the bag, but it's relatively thin material. This is much more heavy duty. It's like a canvas. So this is going to take abuse way more than this is. This is going to rip and tear eventually. I bought it and I threw this mat into it and it just literally stays in my house. It doesn't go anywhere. I just like it. And the drawstring is not that fantastic on it. So this was nice to start with and it looks nice, but this is going to serve you much better. It's got a handle even at the top to grab it. You can adjust your strap, and these vent holes are important. If you've just come from a class, you're probably sweating. The mat's probably wet. You throw it in here, even though you've wiped it off, you need air to get in to allow it to dry. Right? So you want to get some air. You don't want to keep that mat wet. That's not good for it either. It'll get the stink. So you want to be able to have air be able to circulate through there. And the lining also inside here too will help absorb some of that. But most importantly, it's protected from the UV. Now, you could say just don't keep your mat in your car, right? You keep it in your trunk. Let's say if you don't have, I have a hatchback, but if you don't have that and you have one you keep in your trunk, and you say, well, now it's protected from the UV. Well, that's true. But again, it gets hot, it gets cold. If it's wet, that's going to stay on there. And hot in the summer, whatever things you have in your trunk, that wear and tear on that will add to it. So the more that you keep it protected, the longer the mat will last. Again, I don't bring my mat in the house because I teach yoga. I teach, depending on the month, I might teach every day. Some days I teach 3 classes a day. So my mat doesn't come into the house. It stays in the car along with a set of blocks and a blanket. So I'm always ready to go. So I need to make sure that it's protected. So something like this type of canvas bag, and there's some that are out there that have ornate. You don't have to get black. It's just what they had, and I bought it. They're not that expensive. This was $20, I think. I think it was. I get it at yogaoutlet.com. They're not a sponsor. They got pretty good stuff there. I think that was $20. Again, I don't recommend these types of straps because they don't protect your mat. And again, I don't think it'll show up on the camera here. Maybe I can get a close up here after I'm done recording to show you. But this is just it's like the moon, right? And this is what the sun will do to your mat if you leave it out. And this is a good quality mat to start with, but UV will just break it down. And again, I used this mat. I went through all through training. All my, when I was in training, I used to have to take 6 classes a week. So this mat got used. That's more why I save it now. It's just kind of a trophy, of what this thing's been through, my yogic career. So I don't get rid of it. But this is not how, and this is not the proper way, in my opinion, to store a mat. You definitely want something better to protect it. And again, you can use these kind of more ornate, fancy bags if you want, but they're not as good as this. This will protect from UV, but it doesn't hold as well. It doesn't fit as well. This doesn't cinch up as well. This is kind of tight here. Again, these, in my opinion, are the best choice. So, storing the mat. Keep it out of the sunlight. Keep it in a solid bag. Let it vent. Right? Additionally, cleaning the mat. When you're done with your practice, wipe it down with your towel if you have one. As for cleaning it with something, a little controversial in my point, in that you have to be cautious with what you clean it with because cleaners can destroy the tackiness of the mat. Again, using this one as an example, although I didn't clean this often with anything harsh, at times I did, and this is the only mat I have that has these craters on it. Again, this is mainly from UV, but other things can do that. So Clorox wipes, things like that, I am not a fan of. The simplest thing you do, you get home, bring it inside, put it in the bathtub, run some warm water, put a little bit of dish soap, and just grab a brush, a stiff brush, and scrub the mat. Right? You don't have to do it every time. It depends on how much you've been sweating and how much you use the mat. I do it, a couple times a year, because the more you wash it, the more you can wash away the tackiness of the mat. So you want to use a mild soap, in my opinion, a light scrub, some warm water, and then just let it drip dry. Not out in the sun. Just let it drip dry off in your shower, wherever it is. Don't put it out in the sun, and when it's dry, store it back in a good heavy-duty bag. So, avoid the sunlight, keep it in a heavy-duty bag, clean it from time to time with a mild cleaner. Mild detergent, soap and water, let it hang. Avoid harsh cleaners. There's lots of products that they have available for it. Honestly, I could review those till the cows come home. Just a little bit of soap and water. Just gentle soap, though, nothing crazy. Little dish soap, and then brush, some warm water. So that's how you care for your mat. You do that, you'll get a good long life out of it. It's your friend. It's a tool. It's an extremely important tool in your practice. You'll get to really love your mat when you practice enough, so take care of it. So, once again, thanks for watching. Any questions or comments, feel free to leave them. Be happy to answer. Namaste.